Yep. I know. Welcome to my kitchen. Hello, I'm Tracy from Matters of Taste, and tonight I'm going to be cooking my dinner with you. So I'm cooking tonight some little phyllo pastry, like they're spring lamb phyllo pastry pies. So I've actually got some in the oven because I haven't got the magic of a television studio. We're going to have some already cooked, but I want to show you how to prep the filling for the pies. These are super easy and the most gorgeous little cute little pies made in muffin tins. So I've got my pan on, or pans actually tonight, because I'm going to be cooking in 2 pans so I can speed up the process for you. But you'll only need 1 pan at home when you actually make these. So my pans are on heating while I'm prepping my veggies to go into these little pies. I've cut up my carrot into dice, and I'm doing the same with the onion. Cut that into dice as well. All of these are mentioned and shown in a little bit more detail on the Cooks Collective, so if I go a little bit fast today, then you might want to go back and watch on the Cooks Collective and see how all this cutting, it's just so important to learn how to cut efficiently in the kitchen. So whenever you're dicing, you need to cut anything that you've got into something long like this. I've got celery, I've cut the carrot into lengths as well, and that's helped get the carrot cut up quickly. Obviously the onion you can't cut into lengths, but you saw me cutting half an onion. So and tonight in the recipe, which will be online this weekend, on the recipe I've actually got sweet corn in here, but I haven't got sweet corn at home. So this is just what happens, isn't it, in real life, that you go, oops, haven't got any sweet corn. So I'm going to be using mushrooms tonight because they're delicious in it as well. So I'm going to go over to the stove. Let's have a look at what's happening over here. So 2 pans heating. I'm going to put on my fan, and I'm going to cook the veggies in the back pan. Okay, so I can see that that's nice and hot. So I want to pop those the back pan. I'm glad I got that on. I might as well pop the mushrooms in at the same time as well and get those going. And I just also wanted to show you in this front pan, because I'm using stainless steel pans, I'm going to just make sure that these pans are hot enough for the meat especially to go in. That was definitely hot enough, wasn't it, for that? I'm going to season, because this will be the base of the meat filling, the spring lamb filling. Salt and pepper on those. So we need to season at every stage to make sure that this pie filling is super, super delicious. Just going to check that because I popped that on rather high to get that going. But I can turn that down now so that nothing gets burnt. Now in this pan, I want to make sure that my pan is hot. So I'm going to just get a little bit of water on my hand and just, can you see those? Can you see the water going around? It's got a bit of pepper in there. So the water is spinning around the pan in bubbles. Isn't it amazing? I love science. Look at that. And that means that the pan is definitely hot enough. I'll just tip it out because I'm going to put my oil in now. Oh, here it is over here. It's on the wrong side. So pop in the oil. So you're going to cook the meat first or the vegetables first. Doesn't really matter, in the same pan. So you take that out and then you cook the other part. But today I've got bacon going into that pan while this is happening at the same time. Nice and hot. Nice and hot. So after a little while, the bacon also I patted dry, so after a minute or so, that'll start to release itself off the pan. So when your pan is hot enough for those little water bubbles to zoom around like that, that means that your pan is going to be rendered sort of non-stick. And I've got the meat to go in there as well. Can you see how that's easy, isn't it? Okay, so that has, it'll stick. It's got some little sticky bits on it, which is good, but already I've got some nice colour on that bacon. And this is the beautiful Mondo Doro bacon that we get at the Providore. which is made with 100% Australian pork, and we absolutely love this bacon. It's lovely to know that this is made in Perth, this bacon, and not sort of come in from over east or anywhere. So it's a really good place to get your bacon from. So ping, right, so that's definitely hot and the bacon's frying. So I'm going to add my lamb into here and just like that. I'm going to look at my stove, again the heat, and I'm going to just turn that up a touch, because if I didn't, when I put that meat in, it will cool that pan down too much, so it will start stewing, and I want it to keep frying. At this stage we can season with some more salt and pepper in here. Just a little bit. You've got the salt in the bacon as well, and I'm going to add a little bit of the Urban Forager beef stock as well to this, just to give it a bit more of an oomph. I love that. So let's have a look at this. So breaking up this lamb mince as we go. So this is really my shepherd's pie filling. And I always think when I'm making a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie, shepherd's pie is with lamb and cottage pie should be with beef, shouldn't it? That's what I think anyway. So I'm pretty sure that that's how it very first started off. But I've ended up making my shepherd's pie most of the time with beef, but I wanted to do it with lamb because we've got spring lamb. We've got some wonderful spring lamb family box offer coming up on the Providore as well. If you live in Perth, you can have a look at that. The information will be going out on Thursday to buy some beautiful grass-fed lamb in a 10-kilo box. So you can hear that that's cooled down, the pan's cooled down a bit, so it's more bubbling than frying, but that'll be fine at the moment. It's not going to I'm not going to do very much more frying there. The veggies are going nicely as well. Just giving these a little bit of a fry before we add them together is definitely going to make this a really delicious pie filling. So as I said, shepherd's pie, cottage pie. So I would normally make this, pop it into a bowl and put some cheesy mashed potato on the top. But you can also make this in a big pie filling if you don't want to do the phyllo pie and you love making your own short crust pastry, or you could make it with a puff lid, pop it in a bowl and make it with a puff pastry lid on the top. That's an easy way of making a pie as well. So yes, it's a very, you could even call it just savoury mince and serve it with mashed potato, couldn't you? Really very delicious. All right, so into here I'm going to put a few bits and pieces of seasoning, and then we'll be able to go over and make up some of these pies with a special trick. So don't go away, because if you think that you've seen enough, the bit that I'm going to show you in a minute is really important. So I want a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste in there. 1, 2. We use the mutti. It is Italian, but oh my gosh, Italians grow the best tomatoes. And I'm going to stir that around because it's always really good to cook the tomato paste nicely to start off with. It just gets rid of that sort of raw flavour. So I always like to cook it just lightly. I'm going to turn the veggies off at the back because they're going to go into the front one any minute. And I've got some Worcestershire sauce. If you can spell that, I think you've made it in life. Yeah, it's taken me a number of years to get the Worcestershire sauce right. Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons, and to me this is the magic umami flavour of shepherd's pie. I would definitely go for the Lea & Perrins though. It's got a really, really great flavour. So Lea & Perrins Worcestershire sauce into there. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. And because this is a sort of I don't know, a peasant type meal, I suppose. They'd call it cucina povera, wouldn't they, in Italy? The shepherds would not have wine to put into their pie. So in goes our lovely charred veggies there. Away. And I'm going to pop in some frozen peas because I can. And I love frozen peas. I think they're one of the best veggies ever. So we'll pop the frozen peas in there, and that's got lots of lovely stuff in there. So if you wanted to, you could definitely, and if you had some sweet corn, definitely put some sweet corn in there instead of mushrooms, or as well as, you can put it all in. You can have it all, okay? And then I'm going to get some, a teaspoon of the Urban Forager stock, and I've boiled the kettle because this makes it all a little bit quicker. And I'm going to add a cup of beef stock into there. Quite quick, isn't it? A cup of beef stock certainly cuts the time down using 2 pans. And you can if you want to, of course, but it just depends on whether you want to wash up 2 pans. I don't mind, because my dinner's almost done in the oven. I can see them. All right, I've got a couple of teaspoons of corn flour in here, and I just need some cold water, just a splosh of cold water in there, and stir that around. And so cold water, not hot, otherwise your corn flour will go all lumpy even before it's gone in here. And then just add that into the sauce, like that. And I'm just going to leave that simmering for a couple of minutes, and it'll just reduce down a little bit. All that lovely flavour will go into the meat. I'll turn that right down, and we can go across and have a look. I didn't even need that. I was going to use that to take the meat out, but then I used my 2 pans, so I didn't need that, so we can put that away. So that's all done and cleaned up. Now, I'm going to turn that down even a little bit more. I can still see it's bubbling away, because I've got it on the wok burner, of course, at the front, because it's a big frying pan. Okay, so we're over here now, and we're just going to pretend, right, that, pretend. I have. I don't need to pretend it is actually here. I've made the filling prior. I made another filling prior, so I could get some little pies in the oven, and I'm going to show you how to put these together with the phyllo pastry. I think I'm going to go this way. Got to get myself organised here. That's like that. And so I'm using the Antonio phyllo pastry. So this is available all over the place. And it is an Australian company, and they've been going for 60 years or something like that, so a couple of generations at least. And there's my pies. I'm just going to check the pies, so you can follow me if you want to, but I'll just check. Is it going to follow me? Oh, it's a bit slow. Oh dear. All right. Oh, I think we're nearly done, I think. Let's have a look at these. I think we are. I also turned up the oven. I was a bit naughty. Do you think we're ready? Pretty cute, aren't they? Yeah, the cameraman's going, yeah, like that. So I'm just going to take these beautiful little pies out and pop them over here. Just going to allow them to cool down just a little bit before I take them out. No, I'm going to get, this is what I'm going to do, because if you leave phyllo in the container, then it's just going to go very soggy very quickly, because it'll steam and it won't be crispy. So it's almost like these are a little bit out a little bit early, aren't they? But that's okay. So I'm just popping those like that. One more. So these will make 12. So I've made like half of them, obviously, in there, and the other half I'm going to make in this one here, just because it's nice and cold. So when you make up any pies at all, you're going to definitely need a cold filling, because if you put a hot filling into cold pastry, usually I would say it melts the butter, and I don't think there's any butter in this phyllo pastry, because we put it all in when we do what I'm just about to do. But I'm going to be using olive oil this time. So I can use olive oil and it still make it really, really nice and crispy. So I'm going to make up one of these little filo pies at a time. So anyway, back to the why we need the pie filling cold. So it is definitely easier to work with as well when it's cold because it's not so runny all over the place. But this is definitely something that you need to just have as a rule when you're making pies, pre-make the filling, all right, so that it gets enough time to get nice and cold. So that's a bit of Jingilly extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to cut this in half like that, all right, and I'm just going to pop that on there. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put the oiled side inside the muffin molds. Okay, like that. Make sure that it's right down there, and then get some of this beautiful filling cold into here. It would just make this, I think it would just make this filo go all sort of floppy and very difficult to handle. And then we're just going to bring that filo pastry in, just gently into the center to make they're sort of like little purses, aren't they? Like that. Okay, that's one. I'm going to turn my filling off now, Mr. Cameraman, if you just want to have a quick look at that. So it's just perfect. I would definitely taste it as well, but I think probably I'll taste it when it just cools down a bit, but I would just taste it for seasoning and check that you've got the right amount of salt in there. And if you think, the thing is with salt is to go a little bit light on it, and then and you can always put more in. But if you don't salt at the beginning when you're making something like that, you're going to have the filling flavour, right, which will be nice, but not as nice as if you season it at the beginning, and then you'll get salt flavour. So that's why I say season during cooking as well as checking for seasoning at the end. So you can go a little bit light on the seasoning if you're a bit concerned. You can't take salt out. Once it's in, that's it. And if you have to faff around with adding potatoes or, you know, trying to sort of get rid of the salty flavour, then you're not going to be a very happy cook, are you? So just be a little bit careful of that. So cutting that in half, making it into a cross, and I'll pop this one in here, this. So just popping my fingers right down into the corners so I can get enough filling in, because if your pastry isn't right down in the corners, then you're not going to get very much filling in your pies. So I've got the oven on as well. You obviously know that because I've just got those pies out of the oven. Just be careful when you're doing it with your fingers. That's why it's a good idea to wear an apron, especially for me. So gather it all together like that. So if we put the pastry in with the oil side facing up, we wouldn't be able to brush the outside of these little zhuzhi bits here. It'll be a bit tricky. So I'm going to stop there, because once you've done 6 like that, you then pop them into the oven, 180 degrees. And as you saw, they come out. I'm going to serve mine with some sugar snap peas or some snow peas. Broccolini would be really good, just plain old broccoli would be really good as well. But they really are, they've got enough sort of veggies in them, but it's just nice because they're quite rich. It's just quite nice to have a green vegetable that is actually, you know, is actually sort of a bright, light flavour, so that you don't have lots of rich things all together. I think if you just ate the pies without any vegetables, you might find that, you know, you feel a bit like, oh, I need something a little bit refreshing to go with those. So a little bit of green veg would be wonderful. So here we go. Here are our beautiful little pies cooked. I'm going to get another knife and see if we've still got a crunch in the pies. So which way do you want me to go, Mr. Cameraman? You're going to go from the front or from the side? Side, okay. Let's do this one then at the front. Okay, are we ready? Yeah. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And look at that, that's the most beautiful, delicious, oh, beautiful, delicious pie. Very, very cute. Very simple to make, really, and just a bit of fun with the phyllo pastry because you don't have to make the pastry yourself, do you? So there we go. Yeah, I could see, Mr. Cameraman, you didn't have very much space. I would leave them for a couple of minutes. No, it's still nice and crunchy. There we go. Little spring lamb phyllo pies. I hope you enjoy them. Dinner's ready.